Well, hello there, folks. I am Dr. Mark Grimes, and I have been asked by the Dean to lead this class on leadership this semester. The point of this video is twofold. Number one, to give you a quick insight into who I am for those of you who've never had me before. And secondly, to give you an overview of what the syllabus looks like, what it is intended to mean, what my expectations are, and that you'll have a pretty clear picture of what you need to do to get the A that you want. My philosophy about master's classes in general is that it's really not any longer about memorizing things. It's about applying information that you already have. It's about exploring new ideas and putting them into practice, figuring out what they look like in reality. So when I teach a class like organizational leadership, it's not from the perspective of reading a lot of books and memorizing a lot of facts and dates and names of people and things like that. It's about taking an idea from this chapter and trying to apply it to real life and trying to put it all together into a big picture. That's what we're going to try to do here. So there won't be tests. As we get in, as a prelude to the syllabus here, there are no tests. It's all about practical application of stuff. It's about sharing your ideas and having as many of those light bulb aha moments as we can possibly have as we think about leadership. Before we get into the syllabus, quick background on who I am. I'm recording this video from my home a few days before the class officially opens in terms of being able to see content and things. This is my home office. You see in the back corner over my shoulder, it's also our family craft room where my wife has put in many hours putting together family scrapbooks, not too recently. But I tend to come in here, close the door behind me. Just through that door is our family den where there is always activity going with TV and whatnot. It's early in the morning now. Everybody's off at school or still asleep in one case. So it's quiet. This is where I like to come and record videos and things like that. I was born in Atlanta, 1964. I'm getting ready this semester to celebrate my 57th birthday. My parents are amazing people. They are getting ready to turn 90 in the case of my dad and mid-80s in the case of my mom. They've been married almost 60 years. Still married, still going strong, having some health problems, but doing great. Dad worked for the Coca-Cola company for 33 or some odd years, and he's now been retired for about 33 some odd years. So his life in neatly placed 33-year chunks, something like that, 30-year chunks. Mom went to a year of college and then met Dad and got married. And let's see, I have an older brother, 18 months older than me. I have a younger sister who's 3 years younger than me. They're both amazing people. My brother has an engineering mind. He works with computers, can work on cars, can do all that kind of stuff. My sister has a huge heart, coordinates a lot of mission-oriented activities in Atlanta, the Atlanta Mission Center, that kind of thing. Very giving nature, cares about people, that kind of stuff. From an educational perspective, I received a bachelor's degree in religion from Samford University in Birmingham in 1986. I got a master's degree in management from Kennesaw State College in 1991, and I earned my doctorate in management from the University of Sarasota in 2004. I worked for 10 years in human resources, in training and development, education, with Sumter Regional Hospital and with Phoebe Putney Health System. I started full-time teaching at GSW in the management and HR field in January of 2013. So I'm starting my 9th year doing that. And what else do you need to know about me? I am married to Pam. She is from Americus. She is 3rd generation Americus. I think I am 3rd generation Atlanta. My oldest daughter is an Atlanta type person. My middle daughter is an Americus person. Pam has a human resources degree from college, and she is the director of the local church preschool. My oldest daughter, Heaven, is adopted. She has a daughter of her own, and she has remade contact with her birth parents, so she's kind of out of our life right now. Our next oldest daughter is Natasha. She was also adopted. She has graduated from GSW with a marketing degree, and she and her husband live in the Americas area. My firstborn daughter, my third daughter, is Rachel. She just graduated from GSW with a management degree a month ago, and now she works filling time until she goes on to the next chapter in her life, working with her mom at the preschool. My fourth daughter, my second born child, is Sarah. She's a senior in high school, and she's taking dual enrollment classes, so she is taking a GSW class while she's finishing up high school. And then our youngest is Paul. He is 9, and he's adopted as well. He is a fourth grader and has an amazing analytical mind, builds things in the yard, draws things. He's going to be an engineer if life plays out the way we think it will. So 5 children, ranging in ages from 33, I think, down to 9. The oldest 2 and the youngest are adopted. The middle 2 were natural born to me and to Pam. That's my family. My hobbies include a lot of church-related stuff. Because of all that church and state separation kind of stuff, I don't bring church into a lot of stuff, but it's important that you know that that's a big part of who I am. That affects a lot of what I do and impacts a lot of the decisions. It really gives me a compassion as a teacher to understand where you are and to try to work with you. So I hope you'll go into the semester with the idea, just from what you've heard so far, that this Dr. Grimes guy is real, he's human, he's compassionate, he's caring, he's going to have high expectations, but he's going to work with me to make sure that I can meet them. I'm looking forward to a really good semester. I think in a typical MBA class, other than those folks who just never really seem to get started and get into it, I probably in a class of 25 people will have 20 plus A's. So it's just a matter of doing the work, showing pretty good quality and a good attitude, and you'll learn a lot, and you'll come out with probably speaking the A that you want. So let's put those fears to rest right away. This is a very, very doable class. Unfortunately, the way that our MBA program is growing right now, we as teachers who really like teaching, who don't tend to have the ability to use graduate assistants or things like that, have huge classes from our perspective. This is a class of 20, in our case 38. A class of 38 is no big deal to a lot of schools, but to GSW it's a big deal to have a 38-person class in a master's class, and that influences the way we teach the class. Where I would normally like to have a lot of one-on-one interactions and a lot of one-person do-it-yourself kinds of assignments, when it comes to big projects and things like that, there's just no way that I can really put the effort into grading 38 projects. So I have to do it from a team perspective. And I know that you don't like teamwork. I don't like having to give you teamwork, because I know that there's always going to be, in most teams, a feeling that that person didn't do their fair share, but they got the same grade that I do. I don't know a way to get around that other than to kind of make sure that the lower performing people get put on the same team. And I don't know that until midway through the semester. So this class is going to be a mix of independent work and group work. I think overall, from a grading perspective, 55% of it is individual and about 45%. In fact, I may be even thinking, never mind, forget that. That's my other class that I'm teaching, the Human Resource Management. Most of this, in fact, I think all of this particular class is, the organizational leadership class. I'm winging this as I go, no notes. All of this class is going to be independent work. I mean, you'll interact with your classmates, but there is no group work that comes to mind right off in terms of organizational leadership. I may prove myself wrong here. That's probably enough about me. I am 9 minutes into this video. It's going to be 20 or 25 minutes by the time we're done. So put it on pause and go get a cup of coffee or a Coke or something like that, because there's a lot to come in terms of the syllabus. Also, before you really get into the rest of the video, make sure that you've printed a copy of the syllabus and then you have that syllabus on the table in front of you. If I were recording this at school, I could share my screen and I could show you the syllabus, but there's some malfunction in this software on my computer at home where I can't share my screen. So I'm going to be looking at it, but I'm not going to be able to show it to you as I'm talking to you. Unfortunately, you're going to have to stare at my ugly face the entire time. So make sure that that syllabus is in front of you so you can make notes. And I'm going to assume that you've gotten that. And I'm looking at page 1 of the syllabus. My syllabus that I'm going off of right now is last modified 1.5.11, but I know that I've made changes to it since then. I don't know what I have loaded to the class. So check and make sure what the date is of last modified on yours, because there may be some slight changes to what I'm talking about here, but nothing major. Notice up at the top in bold letters, big capital letters, I've got my cell phone. You are permitted, you are encouraged to text me, to contact me if you have questions. Hopefully by the end of this syllabus you'll know what I'm expecting and there won't be a lot of questions. But I'm the teacher that says, listen, if you have a question, contact me. I hope I won't get a lot of texts. I hope I won't get any phone calls, but there are some. If you feel that that's the best way to communicate, let's talk. Let's communicate. So there's my cell phone number. Best case scenario is that I'm in my office from 8:30 to 2:30. Reality is that my youngest daughter, Sarah, mentioned as a senior in high school, is having some health problems, and she's at home doing homeschool rather than being with her classmates in the classroom. But we hope that she's going to be back in the classroom by February. So January, maybe part of February, I'll be home more than I am in my office. But hopefully starting at least by early mid-February, I'll be in my office a lot of the time. There's my office phone number, 931-4455. You can always reach me by email. My campus email is mark.grimes, and I can get that on my phone. In fact, while I was just a moment ago, my phone buzzed. I should have put that thing on silent. I'm doing that right now as we speak. So my emails come straight to my phone. I can get them anytime. You'll find that I am very, very prompt in my replies. In some cases, I reply within a few minutes. It depends on when I see the text or the email, but it's rarely, rarely, rarely ever going to be the case that you have to wait until tomorrow to get a response, unless I just don't see it until tomorrow. All right, there's 3 textbooks, but fortunately 2 of them are fairly cheap. And by cheap, I mean $25 or less. You might be able to find them through Amazon used books or something for $5. The first one is by Kevin Eikenberry called Remarkable Leadership. It's very practical. It's very, very easy to read. It's a series of 13 things that great leaders all seem to do. They communicate well. They plan well, different kinds of things. It's very generic kind of stuff, but it's easy reading. We'll do that book first. Next is Peter Northhouse, Leadership. That one is much more academic. It's like a journal article. It takes in like 16 different chapters, different theories of management, different styles of management, different contexts of management, devotes a chapter to each. Puts in a lot of academic research with resources, with the journal articles. At the end of each chapter, there are some case studies that you could read and think through if you want to. They're not part of our class design. And then there is an assessment, and that will be part of our class design, that you do a lot of these assessments to kind of get an idea of where you stand on this idea. That one's harder to read, but it's good information, gives you a broad picture of different thoughts about leadership. That one is the more expensive of the 3 books, but I think you can still get it reasonably cheaply. The third book is by Collins, and it is Good to Great. You might have read that before. You might have a copy of that on your shelf. It's a really good practical application that looks at, through a study of the greatest companies in terms of stock performance and longevity and effectiveness and that kind of thing, and what their leaders had in common. And it's some real eye-opening stuff that all of these leaders seem to do this thing. And it overlaps a little bit with Eikenberry, but you ought to be able to read Good to Great and say, I can do that, or yeah, you know what, my boss does that, or whatever. Moving to the bottom of page 1 of this syllabus, the participation verification, you're going to have to post to an introductory hello type discussion board, and you're going to have to take a little quiz. And the quiz is, if you've done these classes before, similar to that. I've read the syllabus. I understand the syllabus. I ask you for your non-GSW email, your Google, your Yahoo, your Bell South, whatever it is. And I ask you for a cell phone number, and I won't ever, I promise you, ever use those unless you just go absent and I don't know how to reach you. I can send you a text, or I can send you an email to your Gmail or whatever and say, hey, is everything okay? I've missed you. But you need to do both of those by the evening of January the 24th to get counted as being participating. On to page number 2, you see the schedule. 3 books. We're reading a lot. Again, the Eikenberry reads very easily, very quickly. The Collins reads pretty easily. The Northouse is a little bit more of a struggle to read. But generally speaking, we're reading 3 or 4 chapters a week. So you're going to do a good bit of reading. We've broken it up into 3 blocks. Eikenberry's first, finish that, move to Northouse, finish that, move to Collins. At the end of the semester, a couple of dead weeks, so to speak, where you can work on some projects, and I'll talk about all that in just a minute. Each week as you're reading, there's a discussion board. In the first 2 books, Eikenberry and Northouse, you'll either be doing a little bit of academic research, looking for some articles in academic literature, or you'll be doing assessments out of the back of the chapters in the book. When we get to Collins, it's just starting to think really about your project. No outside work like research or assessments or things like that. As you look at the bottom of page 2, what makes up our grade? It's purely point driven. Get as many points as you possibly can. Nothing is weighted. This is 30% of your grade. That's 20% of your grade. Points are points. So get as many points as you can in as many places as you can. For each of the 4 weeks that we're really doing Eikenberry, I'm going to ask you to find an article about one of those ideas. You'll look at 3 different chapters about 3 different topics, about championing change or communicating powerfully or whatever, and you'll find an article about one of those 3 chapter topics, and then give me some information about that article. Those are 20 points apiece, 80 total points. Every week there's a discussion board. I'm going to ask you to think about last week's chapter. So this first week of class, you'll be reading, but you don't have any assignments yet. The second week of class, you'll be reading new material, but you'll be discussing the week before's chapters. So as you're reading 5 through 7, your discussion board is over 1 through 4. We're always a week behind in the discussion boards. But you'll make an initial post, and then you'll read what other people are saying, and you'll interact with them about their posts. You'll have that article, and several times during the semester, we'll have video conference phone calls. 4 bonus points. You can choose not to participate in those. There's no harm in it. There's no foul. There's no penalty. You just don't get a few bonus points. Realistically speaking, you probably can get an A in this class and never participate in a bonus call. But they're going to be interesting. They're going to be fun. So you might want to. There are 14 discussion boards. I'll talk a little bit more detail in a separate video about the grading for that and what the expectations are for that. But just know that there's 14 of those, 20 points at a time, 280 total possible points. There's 15 productive chapters in the Northouse book where it focuses on a particular idea. 13 of those, I think, have really, really usable assessments associated with them. 2 of them I don't like very much. The one that talks about gender and leadership and the one that talks about situational leadership. I don't like the assessments. So that leaves us with about 12 or so assessments, and I'm going to ask you to, or 13 assessments, and I'm going to ask you to do 2 of those each week. So some weeks you've got 3 chapters with 3 assessments, but you pick 2 of them to do. Each one of those is worth 10 points. It's just basically a setting where you do the assessment, you score the thing, and you turn in a little assignment that says, here's my scores, and here's what I learned from that. 10 points apiece, 100 points. A term paper, just a little bit halfway between spring break and the end of the semester. That the term paper is just, what do you think about what do you think about leadership? What have you learned about leadership? I'll give you more details in another video about that. A project that you'll do individually that is basically going to be wrapping it all up at the end of the semester. You're going to record a short little video, 3 or 4 minutes long, where you talk about leadership. More information about that in a separate video to keep this from being too long. That's worth 100 points. There is a final exam. It's not ProctorU. It's not true false multiple choice. It's a little bit of writing, but it's similar to other things that we will have done in this class. What do you think about this, and what did you learn from that, and what does leadership look like to you now? It's just open-ended kind of stuff. Not hard to do well on that all. 100 points. The one kicker about this that's not going to be that hard is that I do have attendance, so to speak, and that is based upon how often you log into Georgia View, into our class. I can run a report at any point in time that tells me what days you logged into Georgia View. and what days you didn't. And for every week that you log in, at least 4 different days. Now there's 7 days in a week, right? So 3 days out of 7, you don't have to log in at all. You may choose to. You may log in every single day, all 7. But every week that you log in, at least 4 different days, you get 5 points. And we just look at the first 16 weeks. There's the 17th week is kind of a freebie. One of those weeks is spring break. You're going to get 5 points, even if you don't log in at all, because that's just kind of a bonus built in. But I want you logging in regularly. It'll help you with your discussion boards to get your full points on that if you're logging in at least 4 different days. So you're going to get in the habit of doing that anyway. That's worth 80 points. Notice that there's a bonus of up to 30 points. It's purely point driven. Top of page 3, 756 points is the target to get an A. Most of you will do that without any real problem. We've talked on page 3 about a lot of these things. The Eikenberry articles, look for a separate video in another week or so when we get into the class good. The discussion boards, that starts really next week, so or the week after that, really, probably next week. I'll have a video where we talk about the grading for the discussion board and some settings that you'll want to make sure you've got right in the Georgia View discussion panel. The assessments don't happen for another month, so we'll defer talking about the specifics of those until we get a little closer. There'll be a video about that. The term paper, we got a lot of time to think about, so there'll be a video later about that. The final, another information. And actually, as I'm looking at my 1.5, there is a typo on the final. So what you'll look at is you've printed this thing is going to be a little different from what I'm seeing here. The version that I've got talks about a short video related to the final, and that's not right. That's related to the project. In fact, this version says that the project is a written paper. Those are swapped. We've talked about the logins, the bonus for video calls. I'll talk about that again in just a second here, but you get points added on to your cumulative total for participating in any of those. Top of page 4, what you have to do to get an A, a B, and a C. What my expectations are at the bottom of page 4. Generally speaking, how fast you can expect to see grades in the grade book. I don't like leaving things out there. A lot of conversations with my daughter who just graduated with her bachelor's degree, and her frustrations that she would sometimes go 2 and 3 weeks without a grade at all. You know, teacher, what are you doing? You've got time to grade this thing. Put a grade out there, for crying out loud. My youngest daughter, who's just finished her English 1101 Comp 1 class through dual enrollment, is still waiting for a grade and feedback on her final paper a month later. So I don't do that. I give you grades very, very quickly. At the worst case, it's maybe a week after you submitted it, but usually it's quicker than that. Page number 5, civility statement, discussion boards. I don't think there's going to be anything coming up that we're going to get emotional about. We're going to get, angry about, but just be casual. Somebody says something you disagree with, let's be professional about it, right? A lot of information each week under class project. Be logging in regularly. Read every night. Maybe you set aside Sunday and you read everything on Sunday and you're done with the reading for the week. Final grades, challenge me if you think something's unfair. Don't wait till the end. The very first grade, if you think something was unfair, ask me about it, and maybe I'll make some adjustments. As an example, in my undergraduate management class this past semester, there was a discussion board. In my on-campus class had a discussion board, and the way that I graded it, I thought I had talked about. Some folks didn't understand that, and there were some low grades on that, and somebody challenged me on that. I said, well, I think I talked about it, but you got a point. Let's make a change for the next one, and it worked out real well for everybody. So ask me questions. You can, as I said, you can text me, you can email me. In our class, there is an Ask Dr. Grimes discussion board. Put a question out there if it's something you think everybody would be interested in. You can also ask each other questions on that and help each other out. Policy on missed work, discussion boards are discussion boards. Once they close, you can't go back. If a discussion board for week 3 is closed and in week 5 you want to go back and make up the points for that, there's nobody to discuss with. So once a discussion board is closed, it's closed. Other things, there's a deadline. Usually, almost always, if it's a written type assignment, it's due by midnight on Sunday night. And I'll take it a day or two late with some point knockoff. I'll take it a week late with a significant point knockoff. But there really shouldn't be. You got a week to work on most things, and papers and projects you've got a month to work on. There's really no good reason why it should be late, and I'll encourage you to try to get it in on time. The reason for that is that I'm going to try to grade, even if you turn it in early, if it's due on the 12th and you turn it in on the 8th, I'm not going to grade it until the 12th. I'm going to grade everybody at the same time, so everybody's in front of me with the same frame of mind. It's fair grading. If I have to grade yours 7 days after everybody else's, I'm in a different state of mind, and it's not fair to you. So turn it in on time. I think an important note toward the bottom of page 5, my cell phone on the front page. Take a note card and write down my name, write down organizational leadership, write down my cell phone, and go to your spouse, go to your sister, and say, "This is my teacher for my MBA class on leadership. If anything happens to me, call him." Right? If I get COVID and go to the hospital, if I'm in a car wreck and I'm in a coma, I don't know, it's the worst case scenario. Here's his contact number. Please call him. Please text him and tell him what's going on, so it's just not all of a sudden it's like Susie hasn't been in class for 3 weeks. What's going on? Did I know that up front? So discussion boards we talked about. Page number 6. Late articles and assessments and so forth. Page number 7. You'll need Galileo to find your articles for Eikenberry. Some information about how to access that. Page number 8 is the reminders of the dates. Generic academic calendar up at the top with midterm grades and final exams and all that kind of stuff. I like to build in our class critical dates. Looking at the clock here, 26 minutes on this video, just about done. Just a reminder of when things are. I'll go ahead and tell you now, video call 1 is the second week of class. There's going to be a call Monday night, a call Tuesday night, a call Wednesday night, 8 o'clock every night. You pick one of them. You don't have to do all 3. You could do all 3 if you want to. You only have to do 1 to get the bonus. You don't have to do any of them. Video call number 2 is only going to be 1 call on 1 day, and that's because Kevin Eikenberry, who is the author of our first textbook, is going to be joining us on a video call, and I don't want to tie up 3 of his nights. So he has decided, I've given him 3 choices. He will be joining us on Monday, February the 22nd from 8 to 9 p.m. Georgia time. So if you want, and that's normally video calls 1 and 4 are worth 5 bonus points. Video call 2 with Kevin Eikenberry is worth 10. There's more points, but you have to do it on that 1 day during that 1 hour, just out of respect for his time. You'll have a great time talking to the author of your textbook about leadership. He's a great guy. I've had him do video calls with 2 of my classes in the past. He's a wonderful guy. He'll answer your questions. He'll challenge you with some questions, and it's very interactive. We'll go over the rules of how to do that. I'm not sure as of this moment whether it's through Collaborate in Georgia View or whether we're going to try to do Teams or something, but I'll let you know before we get there. Video call number 3, I'm hoping to get Dr. Neil Weaver, who is the president of GSW. He has, I think his doctorate is in organizational leadership. He's joined my class in the past before. I've given him a few dates there in March. Haven't heard back from him yet on what his calendar looks like, but I'm hoping he'll be able to join us. Like Eikenberry, that'll be 1 night only, because I can't ask the president of the university to give up 3 nights on phone calls. So when that date, assuming he does it, is confirmed, I'll tell you what that is. That day you can get 10 points for logging in and chatting with him, asking him questions. Video call 4 is going to be a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night thing. It's just me and you. So 3 different nights you'll have opportunities for 5 points. Last part of the video here is on that subject to change. The only thing I think could change things from my perspective might be if I come down with COVID and I am out of action for 10 days, 2 weeks or something. You can keep going on the schedule of discussion boards and reading and whatnot without me being active in the class. I'll just be slowed down a little bit, giving you feedback and grades and things. But if something significant were to happen, we'll communicate as a group to talk about what do we do now to make sure that everything's fair. All right, long video, 29 minutes. It'll be well over 30 by the time I wrap it up. Hopefully you, as a result of watching this video, know more about me. You feel comfortable about this Dr. Grimes guy. He's going to be easy to work with. He wants me to succeed. he's approachable, whatever. And you also have a better understanding of the syllabus and what you need to do to get an A, which is your goal. Certainly to learn about leadership, but to get an A, to look good on your resume. If you have questions, go to the Ask Dr. Grimes discussion board, send me a text, send me an email, and we'll deal with it. There may be questions related to pieces of it, but please rest assured that I'm going to put more videos out there, and hopefully 8 to 10 minutes at a time, to tell you more about the individual pieces. So if you don't have questions about specific grade things, hold on a little bit, see if another video will help you with that. Otherwise, if it's overview, big picture kinds of things, let's go ahead and talk. That's it for now. Hope that you are getting excited about leadership, that you're getting ready to learn an awful lot, to evaluate your leadership philosophy, to see where you need to change to be more effective, maybe to be able to recognize leadership in other people around you and say, I like that, I don't like that. I'm going to build or evolve my leadership style based upon what I learn, based upon what I see. That's the goal of the class. Learn about it, apply it. Talk to you again in another video sometime soon. Bye for now.